in the month of August. That was our year end, and we were a little busy around here getting that over and done with. And then I was so lucky to be able to take a vacation the first week of September. So I'm happy to be back, believe it or not, I am, and ready to go and tackle this subject today. Today we're going to talk about adding a user-defined field that we want posting through to all of our other files. Specifically, today we're going to do one on adding to a sales order header, and then it going to the sales order invoice, and then it going to the invoice history file. But I also want to be able to see it in my customer tab when I go to look at customer information. But before we get started on that, I wanted to bring up and show you guys this. If you have not been out to our website recently, if you go to the Connor Ash website, you will now notice that under our software solutions, we do have a Tech Tuesday menu item. And our Tech Tuesday information is out here. If it says video, that means that I did remember to hit the record button, which you'll be happy to know I remembered to hit it today, since this is going to be a little bit of a harder topic. But we will have the new Tech Tuesday out there tomorrow or the day after. But all of the handouts are here. At this point here, those are ones that I wasn't videoing, so we have started doing that. So if you want to replay these at any time, you can replay them. I also wanted to point out that we are now putting out here a Crystal Reports catalog. Now, these are various reports that we have worked on and done, and we have some pricing on them. We obviously don't put the pricing out here on the website, but look forward to seeing different reports out here being added over time. And if anything is you find interesting, either give myself or Suzanne a call, and we can get these done up for you guys onto your own system if it's something that you would like to see. When you click on it, you actually see a PDF of what the report looks like. But I just wanted to mention that we have started putting a catalog out there, something we've talked about doing probably for 10 years. With Suzanne's expertise and help, we finally got it out there. So let's get started on today's topic. Once again, I have shied away from doing this one because it is a little bit more complex. It is a little harder to grasp. And the first time through, if it doesn't work out for you, don't worry about it. We'll work with you and we'll get it to work. But why would you want to add a user-defined field? Well, maybe there's information about an order or a customer or a vendor or purchase order, whatever, that you need to follow through. Maybe we're going to write a Crystal report about it later. Specific example, I was talking to a client just earlier today where they needed to add kind of like a group code to their order so we could identify who this buying group was, so to speak, and we would know who has been purchasing. So if you can't use an existing field, you need to create your own. Okay, and it is actually fairly simple most of the time, but it is a process. This process cannot be done, adding user-defined fields cannot be done while users are on the system. Now you say, why? Why? Well, because it is writing, when you create a user-defined field, it writes out to the files. And if your users are in those files or have the file open, then we have a file locking situation, and it won't let you actually update this field to the file. And another question people will say to me, well, what if I just do this in a test company? Doesn't work that way, because when you create a user-defined field, it creates it for every single company that you have. Now in your mind you're saying, oh my gosh, why would I want that to happen? Well, maybe you do want it in a test company, and this helps you so you actually don't have to go to each and every company and recreate or copy or whatever from one company to the other. So Sage just said, hey, when we create a UDF, this is the way we're going to do it to every company. All users have to be out, and so this is something you're going to do after hours, okay? Now, the first step in this process, and this is a little bit, like I said, it's a little bit longer process. If you get lost, don't worry. You can listen to the video or watch the video again. And, of course, I will also send the handouts. The first thing you're going to do is go to the Custom Office button. Hopefully most all of you have that. And then you're going to click on the main. Now, I, as we've talked about, prefer this menu over to the side, but you can most certainly use the drop-down menus here and go to main from there. But we're going to go to user-defined field and table selection. It's going to prompt you for the dates, not posting anything to your ledger, so we don't have to worry about that date. And then you need to choose the module that you want to add this field to. I'm going to choose sales order because that's where I want to add the field, my first field. Now, I'm going to add a lot of fields. Basically, it's the same field I'm going to be adding to different tables, okay? So I'm going to choose my sales order module, and then I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to find the table that I want to add it to. Now, I want this in my sales order entry, so I'm going to put it in sales order header. Now, keep in mind, I can do this in accounts receivable. I can do this in accounts payable, AP invoice data entry, AR invoice data entry, purchase order entry, etc. But today, we're going to be working on the sales order header. Then I'm going to click on my Edit Fields button, or I could have just double-clicked on the sales order header, and it still would have opened up this table. It's going to give me a little message here. It says, cannot create. Don't worry about it. We don't have BC. That's barcode. We're going to go ahead and click OK. When we come to this window, this is a window that will show you any user-defined fields that you have already created. We have none at this point in time. So we're going to click the plus or the add button. And this is where you're going to come up with your field name. Now, I'm going to call this order type. And I can leave it at the description. And notice that it automatically changed my field name to UDF _ order type, and then I have my description. My first field is going to be manual entry, meaning that I am going to enter the information that I want into this field. Now, I'm going to go ahead and click on OK. When I do that, my next screen comes up, and then I have to determine the control type. Now, I'm not going to go over every single control type here between the multi-line, the drop box, list box, etc. I actually have detailed information of that for you in the handout that I'm going to send to you after the session is over. But this does control how it is seen on the screen. Okay, checkbox is exactly that. It's basically you check it on, you check it off, which in the background it's really a yes or a no. Okay. Also keep note down here, is this a string? Is it a text? Is it a numeric? Is it a date? Today ours is going to be a string, and I'm going to make it a length of 20 characters. I can also say whether I want it always uppercase, a fixed font, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I'm going to leave that alone, and I'm just going to tell the system also that I want a caption for my field, and my caption is going to be order type. Because what I'm going to do with this field when I'm done, I'm going to put it on my sales order header screen. Okay, because I want my users to be able to see that. So now I'm going to click on my validation tab. Because what I want to do is I want the users not to freeform. I do not want them typing into this box, because what happens? Everybody types something different in a different manner. So I want them to be able to choose from the fields that I am going to list here. Now, I also have the ability to do a user-defined table, which we actually did in another Tech Tuesday. But I can link a table if I have a lot of options for the user to choose from that would be more than we would want to put in this list box. We can actually create a table and link it. But I'm going to say, what my order type today, I want to know how these orders are coming in. So they're either phoned-in orders, web orders, or fax orders. Okay? I can make it a required field, but I'm going to tell you right now, be careful with that required field button, because what I have had in the past is that people have made it a required field, and then all of a sudden old orders don't work, and we get errors on them because they obviously have a null value in there. So be careful of that required field. Okay, so once I am satisfied with that information, I'm actually going to hit OK. And here's my field, and I'm going to hit OK again. Now, when I do that, what you're going to see is it's going to tell you that I've made changes to the table, and the data needs to be written to the data dictionary. So once I hit OK, it is now going to update my data dictionary. This is the point where, we got to have users out, and it'll tell you, boom, they're in, and it will not let you proceed. So you either have to get all your users out or you have to hit cancel and then come back and do it later. And it actually, like I said, it's going to write to every company that you have out there. Those of you who have large data sets and have, saved off your companies, sometimes this process can take a little bit of time, okay? All right, so now that field is now added to my sales order header table. I may also want this on my sales order form, okay? That'll be in through, access that through my crystal, right? So where do I have to add that? I have to add it using this sales order work table. So I'm going to select the work table, and I'm clicking on my edit again. I get the same message about the barcode, and I'm going to click add. Okay, once again, I want to name it the same name. But you'll notice that my manual entry button is grayed out because it knows at this point you can't manually add this to a work table. So this is where it gets a little bit tricky. It is a business object. What is my data source? Well, my data source is going to be my sales order header. That's where it's going to pull the data from, that field that I just created. If I click my down arrow and I scroll down to the bottom, you'll notice there's my user-defined field that I created in the header. That's beautiful. That's what I should see. If I don't see that, I'm in trouble. I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And all this information is grayed out. I can't change it except for maybe the caption. And if I look at the validation tab, you'll notice, actually, excuse me, not the validation tab, but the data sources tab, you'll notice that it's telling me it's coming from the sales order header, which is exactly what I want. So I'm going to hit OK on that. And then here's my new field. And once again, OK and OK again. And it's adding it to the tables. This is going to get a little bit redundant. We're going to do this several times to several different tables. That's why some clients will say, "Well, I just want a field added." And like, ooh, okay. There's a lot of fields to tables to add it to. Okay, now I've got it in my sales order header. I got it in my sales order work, so I can put it on my sales order now form. Now, where else do I want it? I might want it on my sales order invoice, because I want to be able to see it there also, right? So I'm going to come up here, and I'm going to go to my SO invoice header. Once again, we're going to click the Edit Fields, click OK on the warning, and click our Add. And once again, Order Type. Now, this allows me to do a manual, but I don't want to do a manual. I want to do business object. Why? Because I want it to pull from my original sales order. So my business object is my sales order invoice. What are my other choices? This is return authorization. Well, definitely don't want that. So it's coming from my, my business object is my sales order invoice. What is my data source? Well, this is where it gets a little tricky. My data source, what is it linking to? It's linking to my sales order number. And then I click my down arrow and I choose my UDF. So I know a little confusing, but if everything is working out right, we should have that UDF field there. Once again, everything's grayed out. We click on OK, and you know what? Let's see. I'm going to tell you. Pooey. Well, it's okay. I actually, on my original one, wanted to choose Dropbox, and I chose multi-line. And you'll see the difference when we go to look at it from the data that I have on my printout. But that's okay. Multi-line is going to be all right. It'll still show okay. I like Dropbox better. Got a little ahead of myself on that one, but that's okay. Okay, so that is our invoice. All right. So we'll wait for this to update. Oh, the question has come across, do you have to have all batches processed as well? No, you do not. Just as long as they're not in the system, that those files are not open at the time that you're trying to add this field. So you should be okay. Okay, now, sales order invoice form. Just like we had with the sales order itself, it's a work table. All of our forms are off of work tables. So let's go ahead and open up that table. We're going to click on Add. We're going to put in our order type. Once again, business object. This is coming from our invoice printing. And we want to link it to our SO invoice header, because it's going to now, the invoice form is going to pull it from the invoice header. And there's our UDF. Okay. And once again, I'm just going to click on OK. And I'm going to OK it again. And I'm going to let that one update. All right, so it's now in our sales order header, our sales order work to be able to put it on our form, our invoice header, our invoice work to be able to put it on our invoice. Now, what if I want it out to my transaction files? I want it in accounts receivable. Okay. Well, now I have to make it post to those files during the posting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close this one up, and I'm going to go up to accounts receivable, and I'm going to look for our AR transaction posting. So this is how I'm going to get it to post out to my other files that I want to see it in, like my open invoice file or my invoice history file. Okay? So I'm going to click here, and I'm going to click my add, and we're going to say order type. Once again, it's a business object, but it's not coming from an AR sales journal update, right? It's coming from a sales order sales journal update. Now, if you don't use SO, sales order, obviously it would be the AR. And it's coming from my invoice header. And if I click my down arrow, and hopefully I've done it right, there's my order type, should be there. And I click on OK. So what's this telling me? It's going to post out to my transaction tables because of the fact that I'm adding it during this posting. I'm saying, yeah, definitely put it out here. So we're going to click OK, and then we're going to OK again. And click OK. See what I was talking about, having to add it to a lot of tables. The next one that I'm going to add it to is my invoice history file, because I want to be able to see it. I want to see it when I look it up later. I don't want it to go away and not be seen for my invoice history. So I'm going to come up here, and I'm going to choose my AR invoice history header. Edit that. And then order type. Business object. And where is it coming from? My sales journal update. Okay. What's my data source? That transaction posting. Now you understand why I just did that one, because it's pulling from the transaction posting. And you'll notice there's not one that says SO transaction posting. That's where I just added it to there. And I'm going to select that. So basically I'm passing it along from file to file to file is what I'm doing here. All right, so we're going to click OK and OK again. All righty, so that one's going to update. So that one will allow me, if I wanted to look it up in an AR invoice history or create a report for my AR invoice history invoices, it will be in that table now also. Now, one of the other things requests that I've had with this is my users say, I want to see it when I look at the, go to customer maintenance or customer inquiry and go to my invoices tab. I want to be able to see it there. So I actually have to add it to my open invoice file also. So I'm going to click on that. And we're going to add the file or add the field. Once again, it's a business object. It's coming from the sales order journal update from that transaction posting. We click OK, OK again, and OK. Now, if they don't want to see it out there, or you don't care if it's out there, then you don't have to do that step. But that's going to be an important step. Okay, so now we've got the field out there in the table. Now, as soon as it's done posting, we need to add that to our screens. So I could actually come right in here to customizer selection, and I can select sales order and everything from here. But sometimes I think for people it's a little easier if you're on the screen. So I'm going to go to sales order entry, and I'm going to show you, we can actually add it right to the screen, right from entry, just by right-clicking here and choosing panel settings and choosing customizer. So it's the same thing as going to custom office and choosing sales order and finding the screen. But sometimes people get a little confused on what screen it is, so this will take us right to it. Now, in my case, I can do it for a specific user, or I can do it for all users, all companies. I like to do it for all users, all companies, especially if I have test companies out there, because then everything is alike. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK here. And it's going to open up my customizer screen. Now, this can get, the screen can get a little bit confusing, but it's actually pretty easy to navigate. I'm going to add a field, and this is my Add Field button here over on my customizer toolbar. So I'm going to click on this, and basically, I am going to draw a box here. And voila! There's that field I'm looking for. So that add field is to add your UDF fields. So I'm going to go, or actually a field from one of these other selections, but I'm going to go ahead and add my order type. Sometimes I will mess with under the options, I just right-clicked, I'll mess with the size. I know it's up to a 20 character, and I like a height of 1.25, so I'm going to go ahead and leave it at that. I might have to mess with that a little bit because I did multi-line. It may not show me all the lines because I really wanted the list box, but that's okay. Go back and fix that later. So I'm going to save that. And now I'm going to go ahead and click OK, and I'm going to exit out and exit out of here. And if I go into sales order entry, you'll notice I have an order type box now. And actually, I think I'm going to have to make that a little bit longer because of the fact that I made it the multi-line. So let's see if I can get my little drop downs. I may have messed myself up, but let's try it and see what we get there. Let's do it a little bit bigger and save it. List box just looks, it's so much easier to use, I think. Let's take a quick look. Go over here, and it's not listing my stuff because I used the wrong type. Doggone it anyway. You know what? Let's try something. I don't think it's going to work, but I'm going to go back and see if I can make that a list box instead. But either way, I'll be able to type data in there, and so that at least I can show you. I'm mad at myself now. Okay, no, see, it's grayed out. I would actually have to kill the box and add it back. However, just for grins, my validation in there, yeah, just for grins, let's try that. Let's see what happens. I'm going to kill the box, and I'm going to add it back. I may have messed up all my linking by doing this, but I really want to show you what a list box looks like instead. So we're going to go ahead and do this. Never goes fast enough when you're staring at it. Okay, so let's do that again. And we're going to say order type, and it is manual, and I do want a list box 20, and we're going to say phone, web, fax, which nobody does fax anymore, but that's okay. And I will probably have to re-add that field, but we'll take a look. Since I killed the field, we'll probably have to re-add it to the screen. Almost done. Okay, so let's go to sales order header. Yep, it is gone because I had deleted the field, so we're going to go back to Customizer. We're going to edit this one, and we're just going to add that field again. I click, make it 20, about 1.25. There's my field, select. And you'll notice I can actually kind of see data now. So we're going to go out here, close that. And, they can list through here, or you can do it as a drop and then decide which one, that they want to choose for that order. Okay? So just out of grins, we're going to go ahead and do a new order. And like I said, I may have messed up my my linking by deleting that, but we're going to go ahead and try anyway. And I'm going to set this as a web, and we're going to go to lines, choose an item code, select one, and go to totals and accept. Now, if I go down to invoice data entry, once again, if I want to see it on here, go to my panel settings, go to customizer, modify an existing, click on my add, and once again, choose the UDF, and I save it. Okay, so now I just added it to my invoice data entry screen. So if I come in here and I find that order I just made, voila, pulls the information for me. So now it's following through, right? So go to my lines. I'm going to ship my lines complete. And I'm going to go to my totals. I'm going to accept it. So now, what if I want this on the actual invoice or my sales order? Well, let's go ahead and do a quick print so we can see what I have to do. When you go to Designer, and this is, you have to have the Designer button in order to edit your forms, whether they be a sales order or a sales order invoice. There's two ways to have that Designer button. One is you have to have Crystal installed on your workstation. It has to be a local install. The other is under your security settings, under module options, library master, you have to have rights to the Crystal Designer button. Okay? So if you do have Crystal installed but you still don't see the button, it's a role maintenance issue. Now, when you first come in here, here's my database fields, and if I scroll down, if I don't see this order type field, I have to come up to database and then do verify database. And that will go out, reread your data dictionaries, and pull that field in. But you'll notice that, here I can actually just add the field right onto my form. So if it's something that you want on your forms, that's what you have to do. Okay? So if I preview my invoice form now, you'll notice that my web does stick. It does show up there, so I know that that's how the order came through. Okay, so easy. I make it look so simple. Now, I need to post this because I want it where? Out in my history files. So I'm going to do my sales order reports and updates just like I normally do. Nothing's different. I'm going to hit the old print button here. And unfortunately, I don't have paperless turned on. Because you probably hear my printer in the background. It's actually printing. I'm going to say no to my gross profit, no to my other reports, and just say yes to update that. And right now, I don't care about the daily transaction register. We can deal with that later. Okay. So, but now it should be out in my history file. But if I go and I look at customer maintenance, and let's pull up that customer. I go to my invoices tab, Just make that nice and big. You notice that, everything looks normal. But I really want to see that. Oh, actually, oh darn, that's the one thing I forgot to turn off. During my testing, I actually added, here's that field that I added. So you say, how do you get that field out there? What you're going to do is you're going to right-click and you go to Panel Settings and you go to Customizer. Once again, this one I actually modified just for myself. So also, if you have people that you want it for just groups, like we have one client that they have an accounts receivable group set up, and I'll show you where that group setting is in a minute. And only those people can see that field. But you choose whether it's all users, all companies, or specific users, specific groups. You come into here, and you'll get this big old box, okay? And you're going to right-click, and then you're going to go to Format. And what I did is I clicked on Add, and then I added that UDF order type field. And I added it down. Well, did I not see that? I thought I put it in here already. Yeah, there it is. I added it right here. Now, initially what it'll do is it'll add it to the bottom, like down here, and then I just clicked up, up, up. Okay. Now, while I'm on here, if there's fields that you don't want to see, like for instance, a lot of us don't use discounts. So if I want to hide that discount, I just click on my little hide here. Maybe this discount amount I don't need to see, so I'm going to hide that. But that's how easy it is to add this field. So I'm going to go ahead and click on OK. And then you save it, and then you click on OK again. Now exit out of here, and then I'm going to exit out of here. Now before I go on, we'll look at that again. I do have a question over here. If you do some billing through sales order and some through accounts receivable, can you create a field to be used in both? And the answer is yes, you can. They are two separate fields, though. So you would add one to the SO invoice header, and you would add one to the AR invoice header. And I would actually kind of make them slightly different. In my mind, I'm thinking, or maybe not. Well, I'm thinking you might have to, just because of the fact that it's the way that it's posting through when you have to do that AR transaction update. But I'd have to test that. I'll have to test that just to be sure. But let's go back on to that customer. And as I showed you a few minutes ago, there's that order type field because of the fact that I had added it previously. But now my invoice due date and the discount, or excuse me, the discount due date and the discount amount are now missing. They're no longer on the screen, which is kind of a cool feature to be able to use with the custom office. A lot of people are not aware that you can actually do that, which is it's kind of fun. Now, I promised you, too, that if you wanted to add it to a group rather than just specific users or all users, that I would show you how to do that. You could come here to Library Master, and you click on Main, and you go to User Maintenance. Now, your login, for instance, you choose that specific user, and then you'll notice that we have a customization group here. Now, for instance, one client, we have a group called AR. So anybody that has that AR now is considered a group. So say, for instance, if I went back into here, right-clicked, went to my panel settings, and then customizer, you'll notice that when I click my down arrow, oh, wait a minute, what am I doing? It's right here, AR group. So there's no table there. Can you create a table? Yeah, that was actually another Tech Tuesday about a year ago. So if you go out and look at some of those old Tech Tuesdays, you'll see how to create a group for a field that doesn't have a group currently or a table currently. Okay, so that is pretty much what I wanted to show you today. Now keep in mind that field is now out there for you to use, whether you're going to put it on your forms or you're going to put it on a report. So that, also means that if you've got a report for, the other thing too, let's say, for instance, I wanted to also have it here in my AR invoice history inquiry. once again, you would, right-click, go to your panel settings, go to Customizer, do it for all, and you would add that field out here also. You could do the same thing for any reports, any queries. Like if you did an Excel query, that field would be available based on the files, because right now we have it in the AR invoice history file. It's actually automatically in the sales order history file. I want to real quick show you that before we complete too. If I go out here to my user-defined fields, and here's my sales order history header, edit it, there's that field. But I know I added it to a lot of them, but we didn't do this one. The system did it automatically. So there's a couple tables that the system would automatically do. So once again, I could go at this point to my inquiries here, go to my sales order quote history inquiry, right-click, and add the field, to this screen also, because it's automatically in that table. So I know, that this was a heck of a lot of information in a very short time period, but I think I've done a pretty good job on the handout that I'm going to email to you. Although, like I said, experiment with whether you're going to do the multi-line, the drop-down, or the list box. Like I said, I kind of prefer the list box myself. But you also have to, or excuse me, the drop box myself, but you also have to train your users too on what how you want them to select. And the great thing about having a list box is the fact that they're not typing it in, they're not, transposing when they enter, or misspelling something, or putting a space where you normally wouldn't put a space, and all that fun stuff. So that's what we have today for your Tech Tuesday. If you have any questions or would like any assistance, obviously you can give us a call. We'll walk you through it. I will be sending out the information to you a little later this afternoon. And please visit our website for any of those Tech Tuesdays that you were not able to attend, or you wanted to listen to the information again. These fields can be added anywhere, inventory, payroll, payables. They're fun. They give you the information that you don't have but you need. But also keep in mind you can add tabs and add a bunch of fields in the tabs. Maybe you need information about a customer or more information about an order or whatever. We can actually add additional tabs. A lot of people use these for your website. You need additional information or different type of information to be pulled up to websites. So keep the brain flowing, keep thinking about different ways that you can use this. I hope you enjoyed today's Tech Tuesdays. I hope you enjoy the rest of the today. Looks like the sun is shining. That's all for now, and we'll see you guys in another 2 weeks. Thank you. Enjoyed spending time with you, and talk to you soon. Bye now.